Hey, welcome back, America. This is another edition of Dream Up, coming to you from KABF 88.3 FM in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I'm one of your co-hosts, Carl Double Portion Kozlowski, which is because I believe not only in the fact that I'm about 100 pounds overweight, but I want a double portion of blessings from the Lord as well. And with me, as always, are
Ron, the mirthful married man, Pearson, and always mirthful being married. By the way, it is such a busy night tonight. After the show, as soon as we're done, my wife wants me to clean the whole house because apparently the housekeeper's coming in the morning. So we have to clean the house before they arrive. It makes no sense to me.
And with him are also with us also is
Antonio. I can get you in Delgado. Yep.
Yes, you can get us in. You can get us into a party. You're an immigration lawyer, so you can get us in the country, and you've gotten us in a lot of trouble before, so you can get us in.
I didn't say I could just get stuff.
Yeah, so the whole point of Dream Up here is we're doing a show in which we share our own way of how we achieved our dreams, and we look to bring you guys inspirational, uplifting stories and talk about them in a funny way, and also have great guests every week. And tonight we're very excited to be having a very successful TV writer and producer for sitcoms. He's been involved with all sorts of shows, the George Lopez Show, TITUS, way more than that. We're excited to have Jim Hope in the house.
Also a great comedian. I love him, and I've been working with him for years as a stand-up, and then he gets into this big producer role, and I got to work with him for several years as that. Man, he's just a great guy. I love him.
He is. Was he your boss, Ron? Was he your boss?
He was my boss, yes.
Awesome.
He was my boss, but he's not anymore, so I can talk to him how I want now.
Okay.
Yeah, we want you to be extra sassy tonight.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, you guys want to say anything about yourselves? Let the viewers know anything, listeners know anything else about you?
Well, I'll just start with me. I mean, that's why I love this show, because the whole concept is that it doesn't matter where you start. Everybody has the opportunity to dream themselves up into whatever it is, hit their goals, their plans, their hopes, their dreams, whatever they're going for. I started as a street performer as a little kid up in Seattle. I dropped out of college, went to Europe, worked in a comedy theater troupe, ended up street performing in LA. I was the fourth best juggler in the world at the time. I had a world record, and I started getting into comedy clubs, and then into television, acting. Now I'm a big, what's called audience warm-up guy, do tons of stand-up comedy, and invented myself into like kind of a real estate mogul at the same time. Like I couldn't have dreamed as a kid. If you would say, this is where you'll be in your life, I couldn't have even dreamed it. That's what's so exciting to me. It's like, wow, I pinch myself. Thank you, Lord. Can't even believe it.
Ron, I am so relieved you said street performer. I thought you were going to say I started my career as a street. I was like, oh.
I know, every time I think.
Oh, a streetwalker?
Yes, that's what I keep thinking. There's an old Saturday Night Live comedy short in the early 80s. They were talking about video game addiction among kids, and they were like, she earns $7 a day, 1 quarter at a time. And that's Ron Pearson.
Hey, anyway. My first day performing, I was 10 years old at Pike Place Market in Seattle, and I made, I think, $4.38. Or 32, 432. And back in the 70s, that was like a load of cash. I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And then my brothers were always like, you're a beggar. You're a beggar. I'm like, no, I'm a performer. And they go, no, you're a beggar. They go, you're never going to be taller than me. You're never going to be stronger than me. You're never going to make more money than me. And you know what? I'm way taller than all of them. So how about that?
I was going to say, were they right? No kidding. Antonio, and what about your dream, man? You've really achieved a lot.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, I just wanted to finish off with what Ron was saying. Maybe we need to hear that, man. Maybe we need to hear people to say that we can't make it, and it just fires us up, man, to just prove them wrong. I don't know. It was the same thing with me, you know. When I was growing up, people would tell my mom, you know, your son is not even going to graduate from high school. He's not going to do anything with his life. and it would just
I
eat
still
me
tell
up.
her that.
It would just eat me up, and I just wanted to prove all these people wrong, because my mom throughout my life was the only person who ever really believed in me. And it was like kind of a pride. I was like, I'm not going to let my mom's faith in me go in vain. So it was the thing that kept me going. And yeah, like you, Ron, I've achieved more than I ever imagined as a young guy. I mean, I'm an immigration attorney now, the first in my family to graduate from college, from law school, and I love what I do, and I'm
Well, you're an
happy.
immigrant. You're an immigrant yourself from El
I am.
Salvador.
I am. I came here as a 8-year-old boy, 7-year-old boy, running from the civil war in El Salvador. And yeah, I could have never imagined the success I have now. And the reason I want to do this show with you guys is, well, first of all, I love hanging out with you guys. But if there's anything anyone could take from us, maybe there's something that our stories or our guests can teach someone so that they can actually make their dreams come true. Well, I'd be more than happy to call this a show a success if we can actually improve people's lives. So I'm glad to be here with you guys.
You're quite a success. I mean, you started your business, you got out of law school, you started your business with $500 and a cell phone, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
you
no,
meet people in like Denny's and stuff for immigration, right?
that's right. That's right. I mean, I graduated during the recession. No one would hire me. And so, if you can't find a job, then I needed to find my own clients. So I created my own job, and I'm so happy that no one hired me. I'm grateful. I've accomplished more now than I could have ever imagined. So yeah.
Right, because now you have offices in San Francisco, LA, Orange County, Houston, Las Vegas. I mean, you really have been quite successful. It's a great story, man. It's a great story.
And he even does it without any of those bus ads that say abogado, like so many other guys. Antonio does
Is that
it
a
the
real
classy
Spanish
way.
word?
Yeah.
Was that
That's
a real
the one
Spanish
word in
word?
Spanish I know.
What's the
Abogado.
Hey,
word?
how about you, Carl? It's
Well,
weird.
I'll keep it quick. I mean, my dad was an immigrant from Poland, and he worked his way up to be a VA doctor. And he always thought that my career ideas were kind of off the wall, but he never told me no, and and gave me a great start in life. And I always dreamed of being a film critic and a comedian and being in radio, and here we are. Like I'm a
You're doing all three.
film critic. I've been a professional comic in some of the best clubs, and now we're on this radio show, and it's going to be like carried all over the country. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, and it's nice to have the three of us back together because we had a similar show back in Los Angeles together, and that was super fun. And I'm loving us being on all over the state of Arkansas. Go raise it, Suey!
Yeah. So thanks again to KBF here. And I say, let's jump into the news.
What's going on in the world, Carl?
Okay, so first up this week, more and more companies are turning to automation and robots to handle the menial jobs that humans have traditionally done throughout history. Case in point, Los Angeles Arby's have artificial intelligence, or AI, named Tori, taking drive-through orders and passing them to line cooks. This is a major trend that looks to only get bigger, taking jobs from humans. The reason why is that COVID has led to labor shortages and higher labor costs. What does this say about people's ability to finance their lives and have any chance of reaching their dreams, guys?
Wow. You really
Right,
think
Debbie?
robots are going to work, guys? I don't know, man. I can't even get Siri to tell me what the capital of West Virginia is. My God. I'm going to pull into a drive-through and I'm going to order fries, and every time they're going to give me a Sprite. It's never going to get it right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
then
don't
what
trust
changed,
robots
man? It was
for
like that
nothing.
before too. They
Yeah,
still got
exactly.
your order wrong before too.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what though? If I'm a business owner, right, I'm gonna think I want to save money, so I'd robot everything. But then you kind of go the next route and go, but business is all about people, right? And it's
Yeah.
all about solving people's problems. How much do robots really solve people's problems? I mean,
I'll tell you, I've got a unique look at this out of the three of us, probably because I work by day. This is I'm living my dream, but I'm also having to work at Walmart for a while. And
Woohoo!
the thing is, I'm a cashier,
Hey, you're
and I'm
living the dream, baby.
America's largest employer, Ron, take pride. But I'm working as a cashier and as somebody who helps people in what we call the bullpen of all the self-automated checkouts. And I can't tell you, almost literally can't tell you, I could get in trouble. But so many customers are angry at the trend away from human cashiers towards expecting people to just use automated checkouts. I think that you're right. There is on the one hand the pressure to find ways to save on labor, but at the same time, if you lose that human interaction, there is lots of people in their like 60s and 70s on up that are still around in this country, and they especially are terrified of what to do when faced with having to do it themselves and automation and all that. And I think it's really you have to find that balance and make sure there's some people available always.
I like a warm smile. I like to greet people. I like a connection. That's probably why you're so good and why
Don't
you
come
keep
to me
moving
then.
up the chain at Walmart. But I just came
Yeah.
up with an idea for you, Carl. You said it's
Yeah.
the world's largest employer. Why don't you put on another 100 pounds and you'd be the largest employee for the world's largest employer?
Okay.
That's
Even at
vicious.
another 100 pounds, I'm not sure I'd be the largest. There's a couple of them that are like,
But you know
Yeah.
what, man? All our jobs are at risk too. Did you know that lawyers are going to be replaced by robots as well? That's
you
around the
serious?
pipe too.
are you
Yeah, yeah.
serious?
Those
How's
out
that possible? Because there's so much thought that has to go into the work, no?
Well, I'm not saying every kind of lawyer, but there's certain kind of law that like document review. It's going to happen to every industry, and all of us
Wow. Well,
are flexible and provide some sort of unique service in order for us to make us irreplaceable. And maybe that's what it is, Ron. It's to provide that human connection. But if it's just if it's just a transactional thing, man, we're all in the cutting line floor.
You know what's funny though is that we're speaking it from being worried about, oh no, all these jobs are going to be lost. Now that COVID's over, employers can't find people to work. People don't want to work right now. And yet my daughter is at school full time, and she, up until a couple of weeks ago, she had 2 jobs and was at school full time. And I told her to drop one of the jobs, but she's really doing it. I actually think right now is a time you can excel in your career or in life, in your person, by working really hard, because I think there's a lot of voids where people aren't working as much because COVID has kind of put them in a box. And I think if you can solve problems, you can go out and kill it right now. I mean, that's just my thinking.
yeah.
But you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, people always say, people who work hard need to get paid more money. People who work on the fields need to get paid more. Teachers need to get paid more. A lot of people make that argument. But our salary is really connected to the complexity of the problem we solved. So if you learn how to solve people's problems, you will get compensated for it. And you see it, Elon Musk solved how to get us into space at a lower cost, and he's being compensated for that value. So if we think about it in that way, I think we all can give something.
And therapists, they get paid for listening to problems. They don't even solve them. They just listen.
That's true.
Well, I gotta say, before we should move on in a sec here, but when a lot of people complain and say, "Oh, a job like Walmart doesn't pay enough," and it doesn't in any real sense when you're starting out. But at the same time, when you're talking about complexity, it's like I'm busy certain hours of a shift, and then once it hits like 8 o'clock, I'm there till 11. There's hardly any customers there. I get to sit on my butt, and that isn't just me; it's all of us, including the supervisors. We have a super easy time the last 3 hours, and so it's like we're almost being paid just to exist.
And you get
it
free
isn't
corn
that
dogs, right?
complicated a job at times. Say what?
And you get free corn dogs, right?
Yeah.
But
That's
Carl,
the benefit package.
yeah, but you said we need to move on, and I agree. But I just want to
Yeah.
add that you've been promoted at that place, right? Because
Yes,
you
I have.
actually
And-
care
Several
and you
times.
provide.
Yeah, no, I've been
Yeah.
moving up, and they're also to their credit, a big shout out to them. They're giving, we believe it's going to be a $2 an hour raise September 25th. They're going up at least $1 for every job in the entire, for all the cashiers and the people at the front of the store. We were the last ones to get raises after some others did. And we think we're in line for $2 an hour. So, you know, when push comes to shove, they're doing the right thing. So that's great.
That's awesome. Congrats, Carl.
Thank you. Yeah, well, so now for our next story, there's a 13-year-old teen named Genshu Price in Hawaii who's got something amazing going on. He started recycling bottles and cans to raise money for his own college tuition. But when he saw the money pouring in, he decided to expand his fundraising to make money for other kids' college tuition. He's recycled over 5,000 pounds in 6 months, and his major Hawaiian companies donating to the point where he's dumping out full box trucks each time he hits a recycling center. He's covered his own college costs already and is planning to give away his first scholarship to others next year at age 14. What do you guys think? My goodness.
I'm embarrassed to say what I was doing at 14, man.
At 14, I was street performing. I was making money, and I was actually on the Mike Douglas show as a guest.
Wow.
As a regular guest when I was 14. So
were you putting other kids through college, Ron? Come on.
What'd you say?
Put it in perspective. Were you putting other kids through college? I mean, come on.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. This kid's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think right now, I'm in the wrong business. Recycling is where the cash is at, apparently.
Apparently.
I could just follow my brothers around all day and pick up their beer cans and be rich because they can put it away, man.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But, you know, I think that this also shows ingenuity and hard work and all that, you know, again, paying off in another way and paying off for lots of people.
Solving people's problems and hard work together equal cha-ching, right?
You know, and you know, a lot of people like to say that money is evil. You know what? I think money reveals people's characters. It shows who you are. And this kid getting money shows what his character is. And I really applaud this kid.
I'm so impressed. He must have good parents too, I bet, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Well, there is a saying. I mean, you must have seen this, Ron. It's similar to what Antonio's saying, that I've heard. I don't know exactly the phrase, but the idea being that the people in Hollywood, that it's like high school with money. Whatever you were, you're amplified by making more money. You're either a nicer guy or you're a bigger jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. Absolutely.
I would agree.
100.
I would agree. Yeah, because it just frees you up to be more of yourself, right? Because you're not under other people's watch, and you're your own boss. And also it makes people cocky, so that you know, maybe parts of themselves they don't show as much, show up more.
Well, I know I'm drunk with power every night. I know I'm drunk with power every night at Walmart when I get on the store microphone system. You know. That funny Walmart guy on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen, take a look.
Yeah, you got over 100,000 hits. You got 150,000.
I got 112,000 hits in 3 months of doing ridiculous store announcements on the store loudspeaker system.
You can't stop Kozlowski.
Say what?
You can't stop Kozlowski. He's moving. He's shaking.
I know. Sherwood, Arkansas neighborhood Walmart. I'm owning it.
Yeah.
What made you do that the first time, Carl? What made you do that the first time?
What it was well, I grew up like my dream seriously was I loved David Letterman. I was obsessed with David Letterman from when I was 9 years old. I discovered his short-lived morning show, and then I watched his late night show a couple of years later, always. And he always ran around New York City with a loudspeaker or a bullhorn and made hilarious comments that would freak people out because they didn't know where it was coming from. You'd do it from a window or whatever. And the first night that I could tell that all the managers were gone and an employee had to take over for one night, I told the employee, "Oh, let me take the announcements off your hands. The last half hour where you tell people they got to go soon." And they were so like flustered from having to do so many other closing duties. They said, "Sure." And I made the entire store laugh, including that person in charge that night and all the customers and the staff. And the next thing I know, they had me do it the next night for one of the managers, and they filmed it, showed it to the head manager. Within 2 weeks, he was showing it to the CEO of Walmart, and now the CEO watches me every day. It's crazy.
That's cool. Cool.
He was
Yeah.
fired the next day.
I mean, no, it's the crazier I get, the more I find I hear that they think it's hilarious. I mean, before we move to the next thing, the worst one I ever did, the wildest one, I said it was International Meet Your Mate Day. I always find like weird holidays that really exist, and I talk about how Walmart applies. And I said, everyone knows the produce section is the best place to meet your mate. So head over to the produce section before you leave tonight. And I said, go up to that cute lady and say, nice tomatoes. And ladies, go up to the tall, strong, silent guy and say, I like your cucumber. And I got away with it. I thought I was totally going to be told never again. And they laughed. I'm blessed. I've been told that by other people at other Walmarts. I have lots of Walmart workers as fans on my TikTok, and they're always like, we could never do that at our store. I don't know how I'm lucky. Anyway.
Well, congratulations, Carl. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So now for the third story of the week, we've got a new study has found that taking 7,000 steps a day, which I'll never, ever, ever come close to, I'm sure, during middle age can keep a person's arteries healthy and reduce their risk of death by up to 70%. This means that people no longer have to worry about hitting 10,000 steps a day, woo, as previously suggested. It takes the average person 70 minutes to hit 7,000 steps and a full 2 hours to hit 10,000. So this is a really big deal. How do you guys feel about this? Do you even manage to hit 7,000 steps a day? I know my fat ass doesn't.
Even at Walmart? What are you on the cart all day?
You know what?
He rolls around in the cart.
Yeah, I roll around in the cart when I shop, and I have a stool to sit on when I do my work because I have a bad ankle. So yeah.
Hey, I love this story. Finally, we got some great news, right? Life is better than we thought. We used to think it was 10,000 steps. It's only 7,000 steps. That gives me an extra 50 minutes a night to eat nachos with Bachelor in Paradise on. That's what I'm going to use that time for. I don't know,
Bachelor in Paradise, that's my takeaway. Really?
Yes. My wife and daughter watch it all the time, so I kind of get looped in. You get looped in, and it's pretty much the same show every year. It never really changes. It's kind of a joke. But I was thinking, I used to do 10,000 steps a day a lot. And you guys ever chart it? But I don't know, Antonio, for you, you're so short. 10,000 steps, what's that, like a quarter mile?
I'm like a little chihuahua, man. I can get those 10,000 steps down in 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
No, but I wear a pedometer, actually. I do try to get in 10,000 steps. I walk to work. I walk to the work from home to work and back and forth. And actually that walk from home to work is actually 10,000 steps.
No, it's you work in your apartment. We know you. No kidding.
No, I know that distance. That's a pretty good walk between your building and the other building.
Yeah.
I mean, that's downtown LA to
oh wow, that is
LA, really.
Yeah. Wow. So so now you know where to find him every morning if you want to.
I'm dude. If a sniper was trying to get me, I am so easy to hunt down, man. I'm such a routine person. I am like at this place at this time every day, man.
I remember when you were running for Congress last year. Another dream. Antonio ran for Congress last year, and I remember there was one day where you and your right-hand man Andres were, or Andres himself at least, was followed all the way from the south side, like near Long Beach, all the way across Los Angeles, was tailed by the shady people you guys were running against.
That's kind of a crazy story. I don't know why you brought that up, Carl. It was a long road to go.
I don't know.
You're saying how hard is it to find Antonio? Is that what?
Yeah, I'm saying like you were easily found at the time too. Anyway, well, we should. Anything else you guys want to say about this?
No, nothing. That, you know what? During that campaign, my friend, I put in some serious steps. We all did, man. We all did.
I knocked on doors for 60 days. I knocked on doors for 60 days straight. 60 days straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work.
Then you did 60 days gay. It was really a special time. Anyway, so
you know what's funny though?
Yeah.
we take this story and it's from 10,000 steps, what we all thought. Now they're going 7,000 is all you need. And
I really think it's 5,000, to be honest.
yeah. Do I hear 4?
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I kind of like the person who has the attitude of 10. I'm going to do 12. I'm going to push myself and do 12. I'm going to push myself and do 15.
Yeah.
You know, hard
You
work
know,
always pays off, man.
The most remarkable guy, before, and then I'm going to jump after this, was that there's a guy at work at Walmart who is, he retired and he could just be sitting at home, but he was getting bored with himself and is putting on weight. And he said his wife was nagging him all the time. So he went to work at Walmart about 3 years ago at age 70 as a shopping cart wrangler, like goes around pushing the carts. Guess how much he walks every day? Just in one Walmart parking lot. He
18,000
walks
steps.
almost 30,000 steps a day in an 8-hour shift.
Wow.
He lost all 50 pounds that he'd put on. He is built like a rock and he's 73. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
Well,
think
let's
I
bring
can
in our
do that.
guest,
Keep his
guys.
juices. It's his way of staying, active and getting away from his wife. So anyways, our final
Yeah.
story this week.
Let's cut the story. Let's go to our guest.
Yeah, let's go talk to
Okay.
our guests.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so our guest this week, very excited to have him. Ron, you're one of his best friends. Why don't you introduce him to folks?
Well, this guy coming in right now, first of all, was a great comedian. Then he switched gears in life to be a great television writer on great sitcoms over the years. Co-executive producer of the George Lopez Show, worked on Titus. Now he's doing tons of shows for Nickelodeon and Disney. And then he shifted gears again. He's still doing all those other things. And now he's a professor at a couple of universities in Los Angeles, including Biola, Azusa Pacific, Chapman University. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Jim, the Professor Hope. Jim Hope. Welcome to the show.
Yay, Jim Hope. He sounds great. Oh my gosh, I heard all about him. He's wow, I want to meet Jim Hope. He sounds good. Look
I
at that.
met him. He's really nice.
Oh yeah, he's super nice.
Hey, Jim, Ron was telling us how you used to be his boss. What kind of employee was he?
Well, I was just a writer on the I was a producer on the co-executive.
Well,
producer.
co-executive
very
producer.
important.
Well,
But no, no one's your boss, Ron. On
I'm
this,
the help there.
you're the boss of the audience. You're the boss
Okay.
of everything that matters.
All right. So we're in a show called Dream Up, and it's about moving your way up.
Yep.
On a sitcom set, there are people that are called below the line,
Yes.
and there's people called above the line.
Yes.
You want to get above the line. Guess where Jim was?
I
Above
was
the
above
line.
the line.
Guess where I was? Below the line.
No, yeah, but you know what? There's a different. You're a performer. You're part. Well, first of all, as an actor, performer, and whatnot, you're not actually a human, so we don't count you. But by and large, no. I mean, the actors, and you're like part of the cast in some respects. I mean, and usually you get a cast part because you're so good at what you do. But yeah, audience warm up that's a big part of the show. I mean, you're putting on the show, and the below the line people are all super important, by the way. Without them, there is no show. So, that's, it's a weird thing. I don't like the way Hollywood does the gradation. Hollywood does all that stuff where it's like, oh, we're all in it together. We're all just, everybody's good and we're all good. And here's above the line, here's below the line, and I'm above the line and you're below me. So it's like this weird like hierarchy that these people who act like egalitarians suddenly like impose on people who are doing the hard work a lot of the time. So that's my beef. I'm all beefed out. I'm beefy. Sorry.
I'm the one who's beefy, Jim. Come on now.
That's beefy Jim. He's all beefy.
So, Jim, you're really doing so many different things. If you really look at your life, you've had 3 different careers, basically, and all 3 take different muscles, and they're all really impressive. They kind of all have to do with communication, right?
Yeah.
But tell us about growing up and how you ended up in what drove you to that from how you grew up, because you grew up in Los Angeles and not in the best neighborhood.
No, I grew up in what they call the Barrio. I mean, it's like I was the white guy. Hey, who's that guy? He's the white guy. Hey, there's the white guy. It was like, where's Jim? You mean the white guy? Yeah, he's over there. Pretty easy to find me. I was the white guy. No, there's other,
You were
I mean,
the
it is what it is.
diversity hire,
Pardon?
my friend,
What?
in the gang. You were the diversity hire in the gang.
I was. I was the bookkeeper. Let's just be honest. No,
Well, Antonio was from a neighborhood in Los
Yeah.
Angeles that
Yes.
was also the Barrio. He's from South LA when you first moved to town. And, but you weren't the white guy, you were the Hispanic guy, right?
Just another one.
Yeah.
Especially when Antonio wound up in Santa Monica. His family moved up when he was like, what,
There,
junior high
there
or
you
high
go.
school?
That's right. Yeah.
So you were the Latino guy then.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Jim. You were saying.
Yeah, no. So for me, it was just all my, I mean, I just came, but I mean, my mom and dad were from the neighborhood too. So it was like, it was, but it wasn't, we were poor. I mean, my mom was 17 when I was born, which is not usually a prescription for success every time. I mean, not saying that you shouldn't, be born. I'm very glad I was.
Yeah.
But it was tough, I mean, and, my mom had some, mental illness issues, and we lived in, tenement houses a bunch, and a lot of cockroaches, which is always fun to wake up to. When, especially if they're changing the channel on the television, because they're, many of them, and they're heavy. And then, so that, and then trailer parks and stuff. And my mom eventually got her teaching credential at Cal State LA, which is actually, they wiped out my dad's house there at Cal State LA that he grew up in, right where that is, and made a parking lot for Cal State LA. So my mom ended up going to school there, parking where my dad's house used to be, I guess. But, so,
Wow.
yeah, so interestingly enough, but
My
then,
question,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry to interrupt, but you're just going a million miles an hour.
I
and I
talk
just kinda
really
wanna slow
fast.
things down.
Yeah.
So you grew up in that lifestyle, but did your parents get divorced, or were they together the whole time?
Oh, no, they, my mom, 17, you get married. It's, probably not going to be the best thing. And they got divorced by the time I was 4. They were really separated by the time I was 2. My brother
So
had
how does that affect someone growing? I mean, obviously,
not
it
great.
makes life very, very difficult, right?
Yeah,
And I mean,
yeah.
we're talking about overcoming a lot of adversity. So
Yeah.
what did the pain of that drive you into, and where'd you go from there?
Well, I mean, by and large, I mean, for example, like people go, oh, I was poor too. Well, yeah, you probably, I mean, there are people that had less than us. My mother wouldn't take welfare. So there were times when, like, we had a quarter. And when I mean that, it's like people go, oh, we had just a quarter. No, I mean, we literally had a quarter. And
25 cents.
25 cents. And we found it and went to the corner store. I went by myself. My mother was very sick at the time. She went through many bouts of illness. And I went to the corner store and I had a quarter, and a quarter would buy, like, I think at that time, 2 Jellos, or maybe it was just 1 Jello. And the person, it's just a blessing. The woman who worked, the person who owned the little store, because it was a little corner store, she just saw, I don't know why she knew, or I didn't say anything. She gave me 5 Jellos for that quarter.
Wow.
And that 5 Jellos, that fed us for the week until we got some more money, which came, also from out of the blue. But actually, my grandpa.
Carl's relating to this because he can't imagine being without food like that.
I eat 5 Jellos a day on my own. I really relate to this.
That's really
So,
great.
Jim, do you think, how did that
So-
affect you that your mom didn't take welfare? Was it, looking it back now, do you think, oh, that was smart of my mom, or do you think you wish she would have done it?
I mean, I'm glad now. And when I say didn't take welfare, I mean, didn't take welfare. We got, I was fed by the school lunch program. I mean, as soon as school started back up, I was thrilled. All these other kids, oh, schools. I'm like, no, I'm going to eat. Yes. Yay, school. So I'm a huge fan of that, for the kids. I mean, feed the kids. They need food, adults need to work, I mean, it's like, you gotta work, I mean, that just helps you, helps your kids, it just gets you out of, it doesn't make you part of the situation where other people are kind of telling you what to do, because that's what my mother didn't like. She didn't like the idea of taking welfare and having somebody come into our house and tell her what to do. So we just didn't have anything, but it was better for her. And ultimately it did probably instill in me this idea that, I got to go get money. And, when I got to high school, fortunately I was a pretty talented student, and, I was
You were an athlete too.
I was a bad athlete in high. My brother was the athlete. My brother's a tennis player, the linebacker, return punts.
You worked out a lot. Were you constantly?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I will say this: if you see a little boy who's like his dad's not in the home, please don't say to that boy when he's 6 or 7, take care of your mom, because he's going to take that seriously. And he's going to think the entire time that he has to protect his mother, and he's 6. And so that puts a tremendous amount of strain on a little boy's psyche, because he's always worried that somebody's going to come in the house and he's got to fight him off, and he's little. So as I got bigger, I was very fortunate to be a largish person anyway for my age. By the time I was in the 9th grade, I was 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. And I was thrilled to be larger, because now I can protect my mom. And that was a real tough, it's a big burden to saddle a kid with. So, and as a function of that, as I got older, I lifted weights and I got bigger and stronger, and I kept on trying to be bigger. And when I got to college, I found my sport, which was rowing. It's perfect for me. It's for larger people with big backs and big legs. Perfect. So that was my sport. But I kept on training, and I never stopped for years and years and years, because back in the back of my mind, I got to protect my mom, or I got to protect I got to protect all the time. So that's the sense. And it's fine, to an extent, but it's it's tough on a kid, so
okay,
I grew up with that,
You go to college to be what? What did you study at school?
I was going to be a political science professor. I'd been a nationally competitive speaker in high school. I was very fortunate to go to a high school that they had a great speech team. It was out in the middle of nowhere in Yucaipa, California. My mom got a teaching job. She got her credential. We went out there, and it was a fantastic speech team there, and they recruited me onto it. They told me I should go over there, and I did it. And it was a tremendous thing for me, and it opened up broad vistas. I traveled around the country, did competitions and stuff. And so I thought, I'll be a political science professor. I really like politics. And then I was planning on doing that. And I got into college, and I really was doing well at it, and decided I didn't like it. I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. So next thing I know, I'm doing stand-up. And that worked pretty well, but I kept on getting led into different places at the right time. And I got married and decided, this stand-up career is not great, because I'm on the road all the time, and my daughter was born and I wanted to be home. So I had friends who got TV shows, and next thing I know, I'm asking them if they need somebody to write for them, and if they need this, or
so you took a skill that you had, which was being a good comic. You were obviously a good student. That helps being smart for being a comic, because writing your own material is the hardest part of it. And then having another skill of being able to perform it is a whole nother skill that you have to be really good at.
Yeah, you have to
be a director of the show too.
Yeah.
It's really
but it doesn't happen overnight. You just have to really work. I mean, that's the ultimate answer to all of this. It's just all work. I mean, if you want to get bigger to protect your mom, you got to work. If you want to, provide for your family, you got to work. If you want to get good at stand-up, you got to work. You're going to have a lot of bad shows early on. It's going to be terrible sometimes, and you're going to feel badly, but then you just go back and you work. You don't quit, you just work. And then when things are tough, or things in a situation where you go, I don't want to be on the road all the time. Well, what do? You start writing spec scripts if you want to write for TV, and you just write and write and write. And I wrote so many spec scripts just to learn how to do it, until I got good at it, and then, got the chance.
Tim, I don't know why you're so stressed about being tall, my friend. You grew up around Hispanics. You outgrew all of us by the time you were in 6th grade.
Was one of the larger kids, but we had some big kids. Around.
Antonio could have been a jockey.
Yeah. Oh, no. Come on,
calling Antonio.
If I lost some of this, that'd be the
come on.
Yeah,
no. I was fortunate to certain things, but and I have natural gifts and stuff. And the problem I think a lot of people don't understand is that you got to identify your gifts and then lean into it. Lean into the thing that you're really good at. and try everything to find the things that you're really good at, and then just do that. So I mean, the thing that always used to kill me is watching American Idol at the beginning, when you see, thousands of people all lined up, most of them can't sing, and someone hasn't told them, or they just won't listen. And it's like, this ain't your gift, dude. You got a lot, everybody's got gifts. There's not a single person born on this planet who is not capable of something really great, something that is theirs, that is uniquely them. They weren't put on here for nothing. You got something. Find that thing and lean, even if it's just being a kind person, which is not just, that's a super great gift.
Carl was the top greeter at Walmart for a long time because he's super kind.
I have no doubt about that.
I was greeter for a day, and then I got promoted to cashier, I'll have you know.
In
So
one
there-
day.
Boom.
one day.
That's awesome.
And Carl is quite a good movie reviewer and an excellent writer.
And a comedian, a good
and a
comedian. He's got
Well,
it
he's
all.
not so good at that, but he's a great writer. No, come on, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to something you were saying earlier, Jim. You were talking about doing your own comedy, and then your other friends started getting TV
Yeah.
shows. So you started saying, "Hey, can I write for you? Can I do this for you?" And we've been talking earlier in the show an awful lot about solving other people's problems. So you took a skill, worked really hard at it. You were just saying, I wrote.
Yeah.
So you were getting good at it, and then you were able to solve their problems because as another performer, we want people around us that we can trust,
Right.
that like, and you've written for me. You and I worked on my one-man show for quite a long time and put that whole thing together.
It was
Thank you very
terrific.
much.
Yeah, no, you
Super
did
fun.
fantastic. It was really great. And it was your idea, and I just kind of filled in the blanks in certain spots, and then you made them better. And I mean, that's part of the process. It's collaborative, and I'm pretty good at the collaborative thing. I'm a team guy. I like teams. I like working on teams. I don't have a huge ego. I did at times, but I've really kind of subsumed that to the larger issue, and I'm very happy about that. You got to lose the ego, man. That just gets in the way of everything. But yeah, I mean, I did. If somebody had a show or they needed help, it looked like they needed help, or they could use my help, I go, hey, can I help? And you just ask. You ask if they need help, and if they say yes, and you offer. I mean, it's a simple process. And if they say no, it's like, great, okay. But why leave opportunities laying there why be worried about, why be nervous? So many people have problems with the word no. I mean, I'm cool with a no. A no is definitive, and now I can move to the next thing. But I don't ever have just one thing. I mean, that's the other, it's like Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, a ship is not, a ship cannot be held by a single anchor, nor a life by a single hope. You can't just have one thing that you're doing, and that's the only thing. You're just hoping that thing comes in. There's a proverb.
That's why I juggle, Jim,
Yes,
because
exactly.
I can do many things at once.
Oh no, you can do. I mean, yes, and then you could be balancing a ladder on your chin right now, which is something you do, which is crazy. But it's like, and juggling, and on a unicycle, and I mean, it's like you do it all. And the thing is, that's the thing. You make yourself indispensable. You find everything you can do. When I went to Later with Greg Kinnear, and when I first got there, I was kind of brought in by.
I love that show.
It was fun, yeah. And Gary Considine brought me in, and it was kind of like a consultant, and I was on the side. But I eventually figured out, I'll do more. I acted in sketches. I produced some of the sketches. I edited some of the sketches that I was in. I did audience warm up for the show. I made myself like somebody that they wanted around. I just, anything that I could do, I did.
Solve problems.
Yeah, I solved problems. I was there for 4 years, off and on. Whenever they were up, I was there until Titus started on Fox, and then I was on. Then I got the opportunity there because Christopher got a show.
You mentioned one thing about like being told no and dealing with that. I found that my parents probably should have said no more when I wanted food as a kid, but aside from that, but aside from that,
Don't put that on your parents.
I think it's been really valuable for me that I was a reporter for 25 years, and every day I dealt with critique or feedback. I mean, eventually I got really good at it, and I'm known by any place I work with is like, wow, he's the guy we don't have to edit hardly. But the thing is, I think that taught me a lot about being able to take criticism in a pretty easy way most of the time. And if you can learn to do that, I think in life, if you can learn to accept that that you're not perfect, and people will have a right to say, in a hopefully a nice way, but they have a right to say, hey, I need you to do this different or better or whatever, and adapt to that. I think that'll work in any field.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem, honestly, nowadays is you have to be able to differentiate between an important and useful no and a no that just doesn't matter. Like on social media, there's a lot of people saying no, and who cares
Sure.
what they're useless to you. And they're people who are upset, they're angry at their own lives, they're existentially angry, they've got all these things. So I listen, I mean, it's like the people who can actually, they know what they're saying, they know what they're doing. I listen to those no's. And I also just like, it's to me, it's like, I don't even care. It's like, I tell my students, our business is binary. It's a 1 or it's a 0. There's no grades. You don't get a C. There's no C's in our business. There's no B's in our business. There's no D's. There's just A's and F's. But it's okay.
Well, that's what you mean by binary. Just
yeah,
A's
it's binary. It's an A's and F's. It's like 1 or a 0. You get it or you don't. I mean, it's there or it's not. And we get so many more zeros than we get anything else. You just kind of let it be duck water. It's just water off a duck's back. You just kind of go, okay. And then but again, you've got other stuff you're doing and you're always moving forward. You're always pressing on,
I always tell Carl, it's spaghetti. You have a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
You throw it against the wall and eventually something sticks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, which is, I think, honestly, spaghetti off a wall is probably the tastiest spaghetti.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Ron, one time I tried throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall. It was not delicious, but nonetheless, still a good metaphor.
But the fear of no, I think is a lot worse than actually hearing a no.
Yeah.
If you can just drive yourself crazy thinking about what's going to happen if you hear a no. But man, if you go out there and it happens every once in a while, you start getting desensitized to it, and then it doesn't affect you as much. And you'll be surprised how often you'll hear yes when you thought you would hear a no. So it's good to hear the no, because you're actually pushing the limits to where you are supposed to be. So that's a great lesson. That really
So
is.
Carl, think about that when you're asking girls out on a date. They might say no a lot.
There's going to be somebody out there. It's like the 100 monkeys on the typewriter. There's going to be 101st girl out there that's going to be like, all right, I give up.
Well, I just please don't take the monkey metaphor too far, because that's not part of your dating pool.
Have you been to Arkansas?
I know, come on.
I love Arkansas, man. Little Rock, my first time I had crawfish down on the river. So good. So good.
That's
so
awesome.
good. So I'm loving being on the radio in Arkansas.
Yes.
What kind of challenges these days? I know you're a professor too. Like what are the things that the students are dealing with these days?
Well, right now I'm actually full-time faculty at Biola University, and great students, just amazing kids. And they're putting up with a lot. I mean, it's this COVID thing was really tough on them and every other kid in the country, because there's so much isolation. And this is a time they want to hang out. It's so funny when you bring them back together, you're like, well, let's socially distance in our classroom because I'm wearing a mask. I'm trying to be safe with them. They all have to wear masks in the class. We're doing what we can, but we're saying, hey, let's socially distance. And they just want to be practically on top of each other. They want to practically sit in the same chair because they just miss each other. They miss being with people. You forget what it's like at that age. You just want to be around other people and the energy of that and the fun. And people have ideas you haven't heard and you want to hear them and you want to talk until 4 o'clock in the morning about, just this thing you learned, And COVID has kind of gotten in the way of that. It's gotten in the way of social development. You can't see people's faces when they're in the masks. So it's hard to read those cues. To what, whether people are accepting you or not, and all that stuff. But I think I gotta say, this generation is dealing with it pretty darn well. They're learning to get through it. And yeah, there's some difficulties and stuff. And as professors, I think a lot of us have been more lenient. We've been accepting a lot of the difficulty, because we know it ain't easy. We're in this together. We're in that part of it together. We're not all experiencing this the same way, you know. And it's been tough. I mean, I just found out that my cousin is, you know, gonna probably die. And it's like, it really, I mean, it's tough, you know. And sorry, but I mean, you know, people have been really negatively impacted. My wife has lost an uncle and a cousin. And, you know, it's like, we just kind of go, wow, you know, how are we going to do this? But these kids they're trying and they're fighting it. And I think they're going to be a really resilient group of people. I really have a lot of hope for them, you know, as they come through this. But
I have a question for you then. So you're teaching screenwriting at Viola, and you've done it at Chapman and at Azusa Pacific as well.
Yes, correct.
And so that's really a big dream for a lot of kids, is to be a great screenwriter. So, and you and I know how unbelievably difficult it is to get something actually sold and made. It's threading a needle.
Right.
So you've got all these kids coming to you with this dream. How do you, I mean, that's quite a responsibility.
Yeah.
To corral that and give them reality and also give them the best opportunity to succeed.
Right.
How do you manage that?
Well, you know, I don't think of it in terms of selling a script, because selling a script gives somebody else too much power. My goal is to get people to make their own stuff and to take control of their own careers and to understand that the careers, you're a business. The thing about America is we are not employees. Some people want us to be employees, but we ain't employees. We are businesses. And you have to see that your career as being a business. I am a business. You can hire my services, and at that point I'm working for you, but really I'm just working with you. And if I don't like it, I can leave. And if you don't like it, you can get rid of me. I'm fine. I'll go to the next thing. I'll go to something else. I'm always working. And so I help my students understand.
Great attitude.
You know,
that is a great attitude, no matter what business you're in.
Yes.
Especially in our business.
Yes.
That's the perfect attitude, actually.
Yeah. It's the only way to be, because otherwise you're a beggar at the doorstep for the rest of your life. You got your hands cupped and you're waiting for somebody to pour some, you know, Jello into it. And that's not what I never want to be in that place again. So I'm not, you know, I have a bunch of different things that I do, and I'm always putting stuff out there. And that doesn't mean I don't have fallow periods. That doesn't mean I don't have difficulties. I do. But I try to put as much stuff out as I possibly can, and you know, see again what I can do with it, you know. So yeah.
I like it. Carl, how are we looking on time here, sir?
About 10 minutes, or about 9 now. So,
well,
but yeah. Well, I mean, go ahead, Ron. No, go ahead.
Well, I have another angle I wanted to take with Jim that we haven't discussed. You know, your wife and you I've known for a long time. As a matter of fact, I spent my 6th anniversary with you and your wife.
Yes.
We went and watched
Brian Regan.
The great Brian Regan, comic, and it was 2 comics watching another comic.
Yeah. A guy who we've worked with, but still we paid to go see him.
And so many other comics were in the crowd. Do you remember how many?
Yeah.
Including Ray Romano.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was, everybody wants to see Brian because he's that good, you know?
He's that good. Yeah.
He's that good. But what I was going to say, your wife's family is quite a dream up whole family. I mean, it's quite a story.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, my wife is Black. I know I don't approve either, but she, you know, I'm white. They're see, even in my house, I'm the white guy. But you know, it's really, you know, it's tough on us because, you know, I mean, let's be honest, when that whole flag anthem thing was happening, I mean, you know, I would stand, my wife would kneel, and my daughter had to do lunges. So we didn't really, these are the jokes, folks. But no,
Carl's still trying to do some math on that.
We all stood, you know.
To him, he goes, a lunge? I don't think I can pull that off.
Oh, come on. Everybody gets out of chairs. But he a lunch maybe, but hey, hi lady. But we you know, my wife is black, and her family is from Alabama, North Alabama. They're from actually from a town her mom's from a town specifically that actually was separated out from the white town because, you know, it was the black folks and one thing, and the white folk. It was segregated. There were KKK and all these weird things. But her family is just a family of achievers. I mean, just all these people. Her father's family, I think it's 13 kids total. A couple didn't make it to adulthood, but by and large, all of them were professional. All of them, you know, and the father never took, their father never took, like police chief, engineer. Her father was a chief warrant officer on an aircraft carrier. He was a boiler room guy. He was in charge of the whole thing. And, you know, and like all these people who, you know, have good jobs, you know, nurses and you know, caregivers, and, you know, just people that, you know, they all worked, they all, you know, foreman of this, that, you know, they rose through the ranks. Their family was always, I mean, her father grew up with dirt floors. They used to sweep the dirt, you know,
true?
to make it cleaner. Yes, there was dirt floors, and they would sweep the dirt to make sure that it looked as good as it possibly could. They never took the government cheese. People would take government. They didn't. The father was a very proud man. They didn't take any.
Your mother, you have in common with your wife.
Yeah.
Your mom wouldn't take welfare either.
Yes, exactly. And so it was for them. It was like that. I mean, you know, that was now, you know, we would have taken the government cheese because I took the free lunch, but they were a little bit tougher than us. But, you know, I mean, they put up with a lot. Her father, I believe, at one point, you know, didn't go to school for a period so he could help put his older brother into college, you know, for engineering. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff, the sacrifices they made. And that thing, but they all went on to, you know, careers and raising family. My wife grew up, they had a pool in their suburban home in San Diego, and this is in the
you had a pool though, Jim. You had a pool. You had one of those little rubber ones in the front
yard. Yeah, that's about. It was nice. We really liked it until somebody walked in with those little spurs that we got as little kids. With our, you know, it's done. It just popped, and then you flew around the neighborhood on your little pool. But no, so yeah, I mean, they did great. They were an American success story. They're terrific people. My mother-in-law ended up being a school principal, you know, from this tiny little town. So yeah.
Yeah, no, you know what's crazy, Jim? It's crazy that you tell this story because my parents were the same way. I mean, we had some difficult times, and they were just so proud where they wouldn't take any government help either. Except
that was in El Salvador or here?
No, here in
wow.
Yeah, in South Central, and it's you know, I haven't thought about it. I wonder what it means and what kind of values that instills in us, that even though those programs were created for them, they still didn't take them. And look where we are now because of it.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, I'm not, again, I get it. I get why, especially with kids, you gotta feed them.
Yeah.
Kids need food, you know, and sometimes families are, you know, hard up and there's some bad things. Sometimes there's things that you can't control, but to the extent that you can, you know, as much as you can, you gotta get to work. You know, it's like, it really is about, you know, there's a self-respect thing that comes to it. And there's also an autonomy thing. And the fact that, you know, there is something about to be said for being a person who will not be bowed by circumstance to the extent that it's humanly possible. And again, I know people are suffering, and I know people have physical difficulties, and they have all sorts of things, but to the extent that you can,
yes,
I would suggest, you know, to the extent that it's possible, I would say that's probably, you know, the best thing for you, you know, just, you know, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's tough. Cause I understand, you know, you have to be really careful in saying this. And I'm not saying I'm afraid I'm going to be canceled. That's not my concern. My concern is I want to be precise, because I know that, you know, there are people struggling and through no fault of their own, and they need help. But as soon as you can get off that help, get off that help. You know, if you have to have it, get off of it as soon as possible, because you can get sucked into this dependency, and then you just that's what you go generation to generation with, and it's not great, you know.
So
yeah, I wouldn't knock anyone for doing it, but I think you're completely right. But it's just amazing how much you're willing to innovate if you are resourceful. And resourcefulness is probably the greatest skill besides having resources.
I love that. Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah, it's pain as a teacher, you know, but who wants to go through that?
We
I mean,
don't, but then
yeah.
it makes us who we are at the same time. Yeah.
It is true. I mean, you know, it's like, if I hadn't gone through some of the things I've gone through, I don't think I would be the person I am. You know, I think, you know, so
Comedy, you're a comedian and a comedy writer, and comedy is tragedy plus time, right? So we wouldn't be funny if we didn't have things tough in some way.
I just wanted, I would just like it to be just neither of common tragedy or time. I just want it to be money. No, but it is, yeah, no, there's a lot of pain in the you know, that sad clown kind of thing, you know. But I mean, on the other hand, no, most of us we just like making people laugh, you know.
No, but well, I believe comedy is a learned mechanism for survival. Often
it's a coping mechanism. It is. It's either to get through the day or to get girls. That's what.
Well, Jim, I want to say thank you. I think we all think you're so money, as the saying goes. And where can people find more about you? Do you have a website or anything that you spotlight yourself with? Or
Nah.
all you have to do is turn on the TV and you'll see Jim Hope all over American comedy.
You can see my stuff. It's on TV. I'm still developing a lot of shows and stuff like that. You'll see those coming up hopefully soon. They'll be.
That's great.
And I'll tell you guys about them. They're
excellent.
Yeah, so and then I want to say thanks to my co-hosts as always, Ron, the mirthful Merryman Pearson, and Antonio. I could get you in Delgado. So
right here, baby.
I'm Carl Double Portion Kozlowski. We want to say thank you once again to KABF 88.3 FM in Little Rock, Arkansas, for giving us this opportunity. And until next time, folks, this has been Dream Up.
Dream Up.
Have a good one, everyone.